Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Zon Academy. Today, we are saddened but excited at the same time because this is our last of our exocad in-depth training sessions. We're going to be doing all on X today with exocad. So happy to have Dan Elchinger back along with Maria Connolly. We are just so happy to have you back again, week after week after week. This is week 5. I know that, our attendees, our customers have been so happy with what you guys have been doing for us, Dan, especially you. They are really enjoying getting a lot out of these sessions. So I really thank you so much for spending your Tuesday afternoons with us for this whole month. So I just want to let everybody know again, live Q&A at the very end. But if you have a question that can't wait, please type it in at the bottom of your screen. And if it's pertinent to what Dan's doing, I'm sure he will answer it right then and there. If not, we'll go through at the very end. Also, we'll have a couple of poll questions at the very end. I'm going to be interested in knowing, how you all are doing with your licensing, if anybody's interested in actually getting exocad into their lab, as well as hands-on experience. If you want it, we have it. We'll talk about that in the poll section at the very end. So I'm going to turn this over to Dan, and thank you all for joining us here today again.
All right, thanks, Fran. So welcome everyone. Today we're going to cover all on X design with exocad. Proceed forward here. So we're going to go through a brief PowerPoint. Just here's my bio. For me personally, I've been working with digital dentistry a little over 18 years now. I got my start at NDX Keller Dental Lab in St. Louis, Missouri, and truly grateful for all the opportunities and things I got to learn there. So once I got the opportunity to join the exocad America team in 2021, so been an awesome ride so far, and truly love our products, and we have an amazing team, and hope you all enjoy our webinar today. Okay, so some of the things that we're going to cover today for multi-tooth segmentation. So this is one of our new AI services we have available. And essentially what this does, if you have a pre-op scan, maybe this is like a denture conversion case that you're converting to an all-on-X setup. So the software will analyze the scan data of that full arch and with tissue and teeth, and then from there it's going to automatically detect what are the teeth in that scan, and then it'll give you the option to utilize those segmented teeth as your tooth library. So this can be a really streamlined approach for copying pre-ops as well. It's not necessarily bound to this all-on-X workflow. A couple of things that it enables in our software is duplicate dentures. So that's a really quick wizard workflow to copy existing denture setups, and also for bite splints. So with the working arch, and we covered that in a previous session, you guys can check the recordings on Zon Academy, but when you utilize tooth segmentation on bite splints, it's actually going to give you an automatic proposal of the bite splint. So you're going to get the margin line is going to be defined for you. And so anytime you're copying a pre-op or bite splint workflow or duplicate dentures, highly recommend utilizing this AI service. And it's just a big time saver. So we'll go ahead and move forward. And speaking of the AI services, so for those of you that do have our latest feature release of DentalCAD 3.2 LFCina, there's a couple of places to enable settings to turn on the AI services. So when you're in your Dental DB, this picture on here on the right-hand side, the top one, if you go to your settings menu, there's going to be a cloud option. And this setting just enables the AI crown design button from the DB to where you can launch that service directly from the DB. And then once you're in the dental CAD app, the actual design software, there is, you'll go to your tools, settings, and then you're going to see a cloud tab on the settings user interface. And the first thing you're going to have to do is turn your cloud backend enabled. So you're going to toggle that switch to where it's towards the right, and you see it's orange. So that's basically allowing your PC to talk to our secure cloud service. And then below that, you're going to see the design section. So these are all separate services that are available, within our cloud. So one of the things that we're covering today out of all these is the multi-2 segmentation. So you can see that's turned on here. Then the AI crown design is directly below that. And underneath there, all the way at the bottom, you're going to see allow True Smile photo and True Smile video. So we'll talk about that here in a bit, but those are really cool features. And it's really, based upon gaining that patient acceptance for treatment plans. So let's go ahead and proceed. And throughout today's session, we're going to be covering different topics. So one of the things, I know we only have an hour, so we'll try to open up some options to show different ways to go about things. But with tissue management, so all on X, there's times you might be working on fresh implant sites, more of immediate load scenarios, or sites that are like completely tissues already healed and shaped the way you're wanting to achieve. So with our software, there's a lot of different ways to kind of edit scan data, for instance, and define emergence profiles. So the abutment bottom processor. So this is typically used just for creating custom abutments, but I know some users like to utilize this for immediate load to really kind of create the emergence profile and shape the tissue. So there's another way to go about it is really just letting your virtual gingiva you design dictate that emergence profile as well. That's the most, I would say, seamless and efficient way, but it all depends what you have going on with the scan itself. So outside of there with the freeform scan data tool, so you might have some tissue you want to kind of relieve or smooth some areas. So there's easy ways to go about that. So with tooth libraries in exocad and tooth placement options, we have a lot of different tooth libraries available, especially if you have the ZRS tooth library module. So with that module, talking with some end users at trade shows, that they told me they have an ultimate bundle and they didn't realize they had that library available to them. So one of the things we can cover is how to download that, in those scenarios where you have the module and you're not seeing all the libraries available. And then from there, when it comes to full arch design in our software, I continuously get feedback and comments from people at trade shows that, they moved to our software strictly for all on X, just because of how simple and seamless the tooth placement is, and how robust the calculations and stable our software is. So we'll cover some of those features with tooth placement. There's a lot of cool features with this. So chain mode being one of them, it basically kind of allows you to utilize the tooth placement tools where you can grab and pull and move the teeth in any direction, and all the teeth stay in contact, and they'll automatically scale as you're positioning each tooth. Another feature, probably one of my favorites in the software, is instant anatomic morphing. So when you have an antagonist scan loaded in, instant anatomic morphing allows the tooth library to automatically adapt to the opposing scan. And that saves so much time, with having to adapt occlusal surfaces and grab and pull material to make sure you're not too heavy in occlusion or too far out. So it really automates all of that and reduces the amount of clicks. So anything I can utilize in the software to allow the software to do the work for me, that's always the direction I want to go. And of course, we're going to cover some Gingiva base design. So with our software, you're basically going to allow the software to block out the arch form and add any offsets that you choose to put in place between the tissue and the scan. It's going to block out any undercuts and give you the ability to actually add, remove, or smooth additional blockout or remove blockout. But it's as simple as left clicking points on where you want your tissue coverage. And then you'll utilize our freeform tools to to shape the tissue and maybe clean up embrasures, CEJs, and so forth. So, and then some cutback options. So when it comes to aesthetics in our software, there's a lot of automated tools that kind of simplify the process. So with the automatic cutback options we have, so this is all library dependent, and just want to kind of mention that to where not all libraries will have thimble preps or facial ridges, incisal ridges, or retention posts, but I'll go over some of the ones we do have, and we'll cover those options. So another thing that we do have is the reduced gingiva design. So when it comes to the gingiva itself, there's a lot of methods that are getting pretty popular. I know our friends at Harvest Dental had a webinar the other day with Shayna. So if you're utilizing something like Easy Gum and you want to do like a facial cutback on the gingiva, the software is automatically going to mark the lingual area to not be reduced on your gingiva, and you can just set a specific value you want that facial cutback. So if you're doing layering on teeth or gingiva, we have you covered. So several options for cutback options to take your prosthesis to really the next level in aesthetics. And a big part with full arch cases is communication. So when it comes to our software, we do have several methods to communicate to customers. Now, one thing, you can see this QR code in the upper right-hand corner. That is just an example of a web view link. So web view links allow you to, while you're in the design software, you can turn on or off all items within what we call the show hide menu. So all 3D objects in a software and or 2D images you load, you can turn on or off at any time. And when it gets to the point where you want that design approval, or share that design with the customer, the dentist, the patient, you can turn all those objects on, generate a web view link, and then the software is going to essentially create a URL, a website for you to share with your customer. And then the doctor and patient, they can review that design, look at it on their phone, computer, tablet, so forth, and really get an idea of what their new teeth are going to look like. The next option here is Dental Share. So for all you exocad users, this is a peer-to-peer free service for active licenses that'll allow you to share your design case to another exocad user. So we see this utilized a lot in the clinical world, where they might have our software to take care of the simple cases on their end, or they want to collaborate with a laboratory or a design center or milling facility. So it's a simple left click to send a case and choose who you're sending it to, and then picking what service you want, whether you want that design only or design and fabrication or production only. So, and then customizable PDF generations. I kind of nerd out about this, but So our software's always had a automatic PDF generation by one click. So when you do that, the software is going to do a series of automated positions of the design data in different orientations and give those automatic screenshots to give a professional presentation to your customers. But with 3.2 LFCNA, there's a screenshot and image management tool as well, to where if you take customized screenshots, you can actually edit them in Microsoft Paint. You might want to add arrows pointing out something or add text to really kind of paint the picture of what's going on with this patient's case that you need either guidance from your customer or approval for fabrication. So the software is automatically going to detect that those customized screenshots were taken and add them to that automatic PDF. So it's really taking the communication to that next level and making it a lot more clear to your customers on what you're trying to show and what feedback you're needing. So as I was talking earlier with integrated AI solutions, so when it comes to the case planning, when you're working on treatment plans for a patient, so with Smile Creator and True Smile Photo and True Smile Video, the software is actually going to allow you to add patient photos as normal with Smile Creator, but in this version, the 3.2 feature release, the software is actually going to automatically align the model to the patient photos. So that's part of the True Smile Photo AI service. And then also the rendering of this. So it's photorealistic rendering, to where it basically captures a rendering on the 2D image of the patient's initial smile photo. And then it replaces their teeth with your design and matches the rendering from the photo. It looks very realistic, and we're getting a lot of great feedback from that. But probably one of the cooler advancements in treatment planning that we offered, or I've seen in some time, is this video here on the right. So True Smile Video allows you to upload a video of the patient talking, smiling, laughing, and a maximum of 30-second video. And at the end of your design, you upload that to our cloud service, and that service is going to replace the patient's teeth with your design. So all these are just kind of examples on the right hand side there, but patient's left is their existing teeth, and the patient on the right is with their design replacing the teeth. So it's you can kind of see here, it looks great. But we'll go ahead and proceed forward. And one of the things we get asked about frequently is training. So with our software, we offer a lot of different avenues for training. First and foremost, we always recommend our end users, the people that utilize our software, to contact their reseller. So they're your business partner in this situation, where get out all the resources you can from them, and then if you want to branch out from there, we do offer other services. So one of them is our shop.exocad.com. So this is where we do have some of our exocad experts that will contact your organization after purchase of a training package, and then we'll kind of fine tune, customize the training to meet your needs. So they'll see what you're looking to get out of the training, and then develop that training plan based off of that. So for the packages we offer, I know even up to like an ultimate bundle training, to where it's 12 hours of training time, and then typically it'd be like a scheduled 2-hour sessions from there, and up to 25 employees of yours can participate, and it'll be webinar based. And all of the software solutions we offer, whether chairside CAD, dental CAD, exoplan, we have a lot of training options for those to cover all modules. And all participants will receive a certificate after completing the course, and the sessions will be recorded. So you'll have those for, future trainings for new team members, or just a resource to reference to. So, and I should even note, with our website, if you look under the training section, we do have a lot of independent certified trainers as well. So those are members that are, been trained by our team and very experienced in our industry and with our software, and they offer services as well. And then what's new with exocad America? So this photo here is our new headquarters, just a little outside of Boston. And so we've opened up the Excellence Center. So what this means for everybody is you can come visit our headquarters and be trained by our team in person. And we actually provide the laptops and licenses, of course. So you get a hands-on experience with one or more of our trainers. So our next session is in May 9th, and it's encompassing partial CAD and quick snap solutions. So being able to fully produce complete 100% digital partials, and some really cool workflows with partial CAD. So this is co-sponsored with our partners at Bago, and my good friend Lucas Chardulo is going to be leading that training. So if you scan this QR code, you'll be able to get some more information on that. There'll be the landing page for those training courses available. And yeah, stay tuned. We're committed to continuously offering different training programs. So we'd love to have you and hang out and make some teeth together. And outside of there, we do have some other webinars that our company is hosting. So Tan Nguyen, if those of you who don't know Tan, she's really exocad America is like a longest tenured employee at this point. So she's been on the R&D team for several years. She's a wealth of knowledge. I've personally learned a lot from Tan. So this is a great resource for those of you that are wanting to learn more as well. So be sure to sign up for the following webinars that she has coming up. And you can see that QR code as well. And at Lab Day West, we'll be celebrating our 15th anniversary of exocad. So stop by and get a cupcake on us. Look forward to seeing you. And staying up to date with our company and software. One thing that is, a great read is our Exo blog. So this is where industry experts will, basically have an interview with someone on our team and talk about their experiences within their facet of dentistry and how exocad's helped out, their workflows and projects they work on. So, and then you have news bites. So that's really the newsletter that our companies put together, and just staying up to date with any events we have going on, or even things like libraries that are being added to the software will be listed there. So also new software releases. So definitely sign up for those and stay tuned with us. And I do want to say thank you all for joining. This is a great opportunity, not only for exocad Zahn, but also myself. So it's great to share what exocad has to offer. So now we got the PowerPoint out of the way. Let's go ahead and hop on into our dental DB. So with this case, we have all on X. We're doing an upper arch. Just want to cover a couple things. So coping and reduced ponic is how this is set up. Now, this is a pretty versatile way or options to set up a case. So with reduced ponic and coping, you're going to get your cutback options. After you choose your material, then you're going to see additional design steps in Wizard, virtual gingiva. So we have that selected. Thimble crown is not selected. You always have the thimble crown options within the reduction step. But if you know you want to do a thimble crown, I suggest selecting that up front. And then for the coping standpoint, there's also preserved tooth library shape. So cervical adaptation. I recommend doing this on all implant cases. What this does, some of you may have designed an implant case where the implant placement wasn't ideal. And, it might be more in an interproximal area. With pull to margin, the software takes the tooth position, the bottom of the library, and pulls it down to the implant site, where preserved tooth library shape will just enforce minimum thickness around the implant site and connect your tooth without distorting any of your designs. So something to keep in mind with implants. I definitely recommend utilizing that. And screw retain is selected. So we'll go through some of the workflow here by selecting design now. Now, with this case, we'll cover importing scans and go through our scan body alignment. So I'm going to do scan data only. I did have some scene files there. So the software, if you don't have an integrated scanner, which there's a lot of them now, it's going to prompt you on the scans you need to load in the order you need to load them. So it told me my upper jaw now loads scan marker scan. So I have a marker scan here, and now our pre-op scan. So we'll load that one in place, and our lower jaw for our antagonist. Okay, now that our scans are loaded, depending on the orientation of the scan, so adjust scan data orientation. You're going to want to be looking, down on the occlusal view here, and that's telling the software what side of the scan we're working on. And our pre-op's already aligned, so we won't cover that step. Now, start Smile Creator Wizard. Anytime you have multiple anterior units in a row there that are defined, it's going to give you this option to start Smile Creator. We don't have any photos for this demonstration. We're not going to cover Smile Creator today, but we're going to go over the tooth segmentation. So with tooth segmentation, this is what I mentioned in that PowerPoint earlier. So the software is now analyzing all of the patient's teeth in the arch form based on how it was defined in the DB. And from there, it's going to essentially create a usable tooth library for us based off of the patient's pre-op scan. So now we can see the teeth are being detected and that library is being created. All right. Now, this checkbox, I'm telling the software use also as restorative models. That is maybe a long-winded way of saying, make it my tooth library. So I selected next. And now the software is going to repeat that process for our lower arch. Now, with the lower arch, we're not really designing this. And typically the tooth segmentation for both arches, I would say, would be more applicable for Smile Creator. So when it's creating that photorealistic rendering, that helps out the process. But I did want to show this arch because if you have some scans that are, really close to the edge here, I can hold shift while I'm painting areas on the correction tab and then apply that if it detects too much of the teeth. And then if you want to make any other changes, you click on the tooth chart, and I'm doing the same thing here. So, and we can apply there and move forward. But that's a quick, easy way to adjust any of the detections as well. So like I said, we don't have any photos. We're going to skip the Smile Creator. That brings us to our detect implant position. So for this demonstration, we just have our exocad demonstration library. With our software, when you're detecting scan bodies, you do have this 3D preview of the scan body that's in the library. And then from there, you're just going to left click in a similar position on the scan and proceed by selecting next or control spacebar like I just did. Now, when you're aligning these, you can see this color scale. That is something, it's a deviation scale, a color map. You can hold control to see that when you left click your placement, or you can turn that on via settings. So tools, settings, and for this, I would just start to type in abutment, and then you'll see abutment matching always show distances. The other thing I talked about earlier was your cloud services. So this is where you turn those items on. All right, so now we're on tooth 11 and we'll proceed. The only thing else I should mention about this is when you don't have great scan data towards the implant site itself, maybe it didn't capture the entire scan body. That's what this slide bar is for. You're telling the software to focus on what's visible in here on your scan data. So that can help out a lot of your alignments. Now, when it comes to defining emergence profile, I would say majority of cases I see people not utilizing this feature for all on X. I'll do it on one tooth just to kind of show some tools, but it is optional, so you don't have to utilize that. So I'm hitting Control and Space Bar to bypass this step for the other teeth. Now that we're within tooth placement, so we did utilize our segmented teeth, and I'm gonna just kind of go over some stuff here with this. So when it comes to the segmented teeth, you can turn them on and off, and I'll turn off a couple other items here just to kind of show. So our pre-op's off, and now we can see all the segmented teeth that have been created as our library. So their tooth library switches is grayed out. The only thing I would suggest, if you decide after the fact you want to utilize that actual tooth library, I would just go into your expert mode and then delete reconstructions and just delete those segmented teeth. So this is a drop down here. So you'll do your segmented teeth initial and crowns and delete those parts. The reason for that is the coordinates that the tooth library is working off of is the segmented teeth. So if you go to load a custom tooth models, the orientation might not be ideal unless you delete those parts out. Now, with the segmented teeth, even though we chose to use this, you still have capabilities of the simple tab to left click and drag, change position, maybe hold control, rotate, hold shift to scale, or control and shift to do directional based scaling. So based on the direction of that arrow. But in this scenario, we'll go ahead and keep the position where it's at. You can go into chain mode as well, but we should have enough time to go through another example using an actual tooth library as well. So that brings us to our abutment bottoms. So now one hotkey that I love to use is shift and mouse wheel button. So that toggles your transparency. And another one is control and mouse wheel button, and that turns items off. And then control and shift and your mouse wheel button turns them back on in the order you turn them off. So one thing, making some things a little bit more visible here. So the abutment bottoms. So we're looking at the shape of, how do we want that abutment to be shaped going into the tissue. So when you're trying to form tissue and create that exact shape you want to help the tissue heal, for instance, this could be a good feature for you to utilize. Now, another thing that's done in this step, so if we go to our advanced tab, now you do have several options here with parameters. I would say, take the time, go through the wiki page. So anytime you see that question mark, you're going to see corresponding instructional description information based on all the buttons in that wizard. So, and a lot of the steps actually have corresponding videos as well. So definitely check that out if you're a new user. even experienced users. You'd be surprised. Sometimes there's some features you may not fully understand or even know exist. But with the advanced tab here, one thing is angulated screw channels. So this is defined by the implant library, whether this is going to be available or not. So there's clickable and draggable. So clickable is probably what you think it is, where you left click and it's going to change the position of that screw channel. And then draggable, pretty self-explanatory as well, but it allows you to left click and drag, and you can see that angle as you're adjusting that position. Another kind of helpful things with the abutment bottoms. So we can turn some stuff off here just to kind of visualize a little better, but freeform bottom. So you can actually left click and drag and adjust position that way too. So if you want to add or move, there's also, we can visualize our distance. So if we want to set a specific value as well. So if we want to move our slide bars down, it's going to automatically adapt. So if you want to kind of put more pressure or decrease the distance from that shape to your tissue, you have that ability. And just a couple other little things about the abutment bottom step. Anytime you see the pink circles here, you can left click on them, and that allows you to impinge tissue if you choose to, where if it's pink, it's locked to the tissue scan. I'm gonna go ahead and proceed forward, but I just wanted to kind of point those tools out. And now that brings us to our freeforming step. So with freeforming, I do have some settings turned on to where it's automatically cutting occlusal interferences, also interferences with our neighboring teeth. So it's adjusting the contacts and the tissue. So within the tools and settings, you can enable a lot of those things, even automatic virtual articulator where it simulate jaw movements in the back end. So when it comes to our freeforming, the anatomic tab, I think there's a lot of things that people kind of overlook with this. So you have your presets. So this is essentially different areas of the tooth libraries. But one thing that's really nice is with tools like shift to scale. So if I want to scale a specific section of the library, to adjust shape or maybe line angles, for instance, that's another tool that you can utilize to do so. From here with the free tab, the only thing with the segmented teeth is, you might need to kind of clean up maybe an interproximal area that got a little bit distorted from the scan data. So, but with this, I'll just go ahead and proceed forward. We'll go ahead and go to our next step. And as that's loading, I'm going to take a quick drink. All right, so virtual wax up bottom. At this step, this is where you're basically setting your insertion direction for your restorations or prosthesis, whatever you're designing here. Now you can left click and drag, and the software is going to automatically adapt the rendering of the undercuts, so that it'll change the display and how those are presented. Myself personally, I like to just rotate my scan to find the optimal insertion direction and then set insertion direction from view. I'm gonna go ahead and hit apply. Majority of the times you could just hit next, but when you hit apply, it's gonna allow you to go to the freeforming tab of the virtual wax up bottom. So when it's applying, it's looking at the bottom properties and block out undercuts. So those are the values where it's creating the space and blocking out undercuts accordingly. But now that we have the freeforming tab, like I was saying, this will allow you to just simply left click to add additional block out or remove block out, and just wanted to point that out. All right, so now we are on our gingival base design. So I'm going to go ahead and left click a series of points. Looks like I accidentally clicked there. And really it's wherever you want gingiva coverage. So for all on X, we typically kind of stay up high to make it cleansable or hygienic. So I won't go crazy with this. We'll just kind of put in some quick points and then move forward. All right, so once you make your way around, you can just double click. That completes your selection, closes your margin line, and then the software is going to give you a proposal based on the values for your thicknesses there. So now we do have some virtual gingiva that's been added. I can go ahead and proceed forward to free-form gingiva. So turn my teeth back on and everything from earlier. So looking at our gingiva, typically I would start with our large region, and I like to kind of just pull down in embrasures. With this specific case, it looks like we have pretty good coverage, so we can kind of move our way around. Pending if you're using an actual tooth library, the software actually follows the tooth library itself. With the segmented teeth, it's not a true library, so there aren't as many defined regions or any defined regions, I should say, at this point. So I would say the proposals, you might have to kind of drag down the linguals or drag up the facials, depending on the segmented teeth themselves. But just some simple left click and drag operations here. And then from there, just depending on any characterization you want to do, you can go to the free tab. And something I always like to point out is the point and knife tool. So this gives such great control with kind of adding in any separation, if you're kind of trying to achieve some root eminence and different gingival characterizations. It's just a simple left click and drag operation. And whether you want to kind of add some anatomy, and I always like to point out control and shift here with the mouse wheel is going to allow you to kind of scale your tool size, as I'm doing right now with shift, and then control would be your strength. So how much material are you going to be affecting? So you can get some more separation between teeth, or maybe even, add a little bit on the root direction here. So just a quick helpful tip to kind of add in those, different characteristics or features you want with your gingiva. And then from there, on the anatomic tab, another thing that's here is your reduce gingiva design. So we talked about that earlier, just a quick, easy way to do gingiva cutbacks, right? So when it comes to the gingiva cutbacks, the software is automatically detecting that position of the gingiva. So it's masking out all the areas in blue to not reduce them. And that's all controlled around this preserve area around teeth slide bars here. So you can adjust them and update your markings. But just want to point out how simple and seamless this is. I mean, if you're doing something a little bit more of like I would mention Easy Gum earlier, I think they recommend it's a millimeter thick. So you just have to determine how far you want that 1 millimeter material to be, coming off of that reduced gingiva. So so once you hit apply, the software is looking at all those areas that weren't marked in the bluish purple hue there, and then it's reduced that for us already. By default, you can see it's just a small amount. It's by 0.2 millimeters. So this is something that'll kind of give, a little bit more separation as well. That brings us to our anatomic reduction. So when you're doing segmented teeth, this is where I want to bring up, and we'll pull up another scene file using different tooth libraries, but you're not going to have your cutback options. So when it comes to the cutback options themselves, I'm going to just go into our installation folder real quick. So we'll go inside Dental CAD app, and then we'll look at library. You're going to see folders, metadata, ponic, and teeth. That's what controls your tooth libraries. Now, a lot of libraries that you'll see online may not have thumbnail images and so forth, but as you go into each folder, when you're installing libraries, make sure you have all those. Because even when it comes to each Ponix and tooth folders, you're going to see the different cutback options that are within there for each tooth number. So earlier I had talked about ZRS tooth libraries as well. If you go to Tools and the About tab, so this is what basically allows your license to kind of contact our update server, and you can check for updates. So definitely click on that. There's certain modules like ZRS Tooth Library and XSnap. So that's like for model creator to have, an articulator interface that you can 3D print that allows you to simulate jaw movements. Those libraries will need to be downloaded from our server. They don't come with the basic installation. And that's how you that's how you download those and install them. So we're going to proceed forward with anatomic reduction set to 0. We'll keep this monolithic. And that's one of the things I was talking about with copings and reduced ponics being, a real versatile selection, because at that point you can treat it as a monolithic and send it out for a try-in, and then do your cutbacks after the fact if, once you get the approval from the dentist. So, at this point, I do have connectors set up. You can turn those off, join the teeth shape directly. So depending on how you want to proceed with that, that's a quick, easy way. So you change your shape and apply your cross section. And now bring you to your screw hole design. So at this point, software is automatically detecting the anatomy and bringing those screw channels all the way through. And it brings you to merge and save. So, from creating a streamline all on X based on a pre-op scan, as you can see, it's very quick and simple. Now that that's saving, I'll go ahead and open up our next case, just our same case, just configured a little differently. So when I go to load, I'm going to grab this case I defined here. Same case, but the main difference is when you want to do a thimble crown, you can select that up front. And that's going to narrow your reduction parameters in wizard mode to just utilizing that thimble prep. So I'm going to pull open a scene here that kind of saves some time. But when you choose thimble, if like I was saying, when you get to the reduce anatomy step, it's only going to have that thimble as a selection, but you can always go in expert mode and revisit that wizard step within expert mode and see all the cutback options. Now, with tooth placement, so we'll just go forward with the default generic library. Now, chain mode, we have all these color points. You can toggle them by left clicking. Your control discs by default, so these blue UFO discs here at the end, that is kind of what locks everything in place. So a couple of things, if you unlock them all, so I hold control and shift and I left click on the points to toggle all the points to be unlocked. One thing, you can actually scale the whole arch at this point. So this is kind of a quick, easy way to get things in the ballpark first, and then from there, other methods that I like to do is really get these control discs as distal as I want to be with my design, and then lock it in place. And I might check height too, and we'll just kind of use the pre-op more as a guideline. So, if you're going to match a pre-op, I'd do your tooth segmentation. But from there, I like to just left click and drag a tooth to kind of trace my pre-op. right? So this is just a method. There's several videos of, from our YouTube channel and even other exocad experts, that some of our independent certified trainers put out videos, but people kind of attack chain mode different ways. And I I look at this as just kind of like a quick, easy way to kind of trace things. So I'm just left clicking and dragging. I'm not even doing any hotkeys or anything at the point. I might have used shift occasionally to kind of scale some things, but I didn't really count how many clicks I did there. We'll say 10, but to be that close to the pre-op um, with little interaction, um, that's, I don't know, for me, that's awesome. So I'm going to go to the advanced tab here. A couple other things I like to point out is just scaling. So um, there's two behaviors here. So if you're looking at your tooth axis scaling, it's kind of going off of, your different surfaces of the tooth. But free axis scaling, this is going to give you a bounding box, so I can scale in any direction, diagonally or so forth. You do have the morph option, so you can grab and pull material by default. But another thing to where if I hold control, I can like rotate aspects of the library. Or if I hold shift in a specific position, I could flare out certain areas of the library. Maybe open up some embrasures or close them. This really kind of allows you to fully affect the library in multiple ways. So, for anterior aesthetics, um, closing spaces, for instance, it's kind of talking with people at trade shows, they don't realize you can do that. And then the slide bars. So if you're wanting more of flat or more of a youthful shapes, it's quick, easy, just to kind of adjust those slide bars in a position. Now, one thing I didn't mention with the chain mode, so all these are locked in position. Let me unlock them again, is the tube. So maybe you need to match your midline. So the tube feature allows you to just slide your teeth back and forth on the chain. And, when you're working on full arches, to really kind of set your midline and then work your way back. I mean, it's quick, easy. I'm not going to fine tune tooth positions with this. I really just wanted to kind of show everybody the different tools. And there is a symmetry mode too. So as you're working, on different parts of the arch, you can, match all your designs contralaterally automatically. So pretty, pretty nice automations with that as well. So now I'm just going to bypass our abutment bottoms. And again, control spacebar works for that, or left clicking on next. And now we're at our free-forming step. Everything's automatically adapting for me. And I'm just select control spacebar again. Now, if I want to adapt to the pre-op scan, I could. I'm just going to proceed past that. And that brings us to our virtual wax up bottom. So now the software is automatically blocking out based off of the insertion direction. And then we'll be able to draw in our tissue again. All right, so we'll just add some quick points here, get the coverage we want. And double click. All right, so now we're at our freeform gingiva. Turn off my pre-op with the letter P. And for this one, like I said, when I'm using tooth libraries, I typically probably would have spent a little more time in my tooth placement in general. I know we're getting close to time, but simple left click and drag with the large region on the anatomic tab really kind of closes those black triangles pretty quickly. And then from there, it's just add any characterization or, kind of adaptation. So the software already kind of gives you some root eminence, root prominence there. So, whether depending on how far you want to take that, if you're wanting to add in, some anatomical features, as example here, so we can kind of separate some things. But again, that's just a quick left click and drag. And we kind of already went over that on the previous example. So, and we did our cutbacks as well. So we can do that again. It's pretty quick, easy function. And we'll apply and just move forward. And now your anatomic reduction, you see your thimble preps. So I just press Control Spacebar to next. At this point, I can add, remove, smooth, make any adaptations. If you go into expert mode, you can actually adjust the tooth, the thimble prep placement. And now thimble crown design workflow, design thimble superstructure now. So that means I want to do my crowns on top of it. So the software is going to pull up in the thimble crown margin step. You shouldn't have to adjust that. Just hit next. Then the software is going to load in all the margins it has for those thimble preps already defined. So now it's adding those thimble preps, and it's going to be able to do your cement gaps for your restorations to fit on top of the preps. So now it's generating the thimble crown bottoms. That step's finished. You proceed forward, generating crowns. So now it's adapting our tooth library to the new thimble prep that's been added to the design. And then when we get to our freeforming step, we'll be able to kind of adapt, make any adjustments. We have freeform gingiva design now. So you see this button, adapt to thimble crowns. If you didn't reduce the gingiva, you'd also see that option there as well. But basically the software is automatically relieving the gingival tissue around your thimble prep, so you can actually seat your crowns. So if I had just hit next without doing this, the software would have had a pop-up to even remind me, do you want to adapt your tissue to your thimbles? So it's kind of good to have that fail-safe in there. And then since this was set up as copings again, now I can do a facial cutback. For instance, I can, or I said facial, but that's your incisal. Maybe you want to do the facial with more of a dramatic cutback there. So right now, with the cutback libraries and doing the gingiva cutback, we have, and the thimble preps, you kind of have all kinds of options that you were able to kind of see and learn today. Hopefully you all have gained something from this demonstration. And we'll just kind of proceed forward since we're kind of at time. We don't need to cover connectors. I know we did that in another session, but yeah, so at this point, everything's merging together. We did set this up as a bridge, so all of our teeth that we design with the cutback libraries, it's going to be one piece, and then our gingiva and thimble preps will be a separate piece you'll be able to manufacture. So a couple different ways to go about it. And then I guess from there, Fran, how we doing? Do we have any questions or anything?
So far, there are no questions, but if anybody has any, you could just type them in at the bottom of your screen. You'll see that Q&A icon.
Great. All right, and now that looks like we're pretty much at time. Nobody's got anything for me, huh?
Not yet, but sometimes
Sure.
we get something you're like, oh, here we go. Let's see.
Um, since we're,
So Jim wants to know, and no question is dumb, Jim. You know that.
oh my.
Can you scan with 3Shape
Yeah, so
desktop scanner?
our software is completely open source. So any PLY, OBJ, STL file is fully, uh, usable in our software. Um, with 3Shape specifically, they're not fully integrated. That's my understanding. That's kind of their choice. We'll open up that workflow to any scanner manufacturer to where it can be the scanner can be launched from our DB or automatic imports. Trio scans do have the integration, so that part of it does. So I'm drawing a blank. Is it the .30xz files? I might be butchering that, but those 3Shape communicate files import in automatically. You can set that up. But yeah, so it with any other scanners that are, I would say, more locked down, in a similar aspect to where they're part of a CAD CAM ecosystem where they you might have to export them as a STL file, depending if they're utilizing a proprietary file extension, a file type. So, but their scans are importable into our software. So when you open the software, you just load in whatever scan for that patient.
Jim says thank you, by the way.
Of course. And something I was brought up earlier is like generating your web view links. As an example, you could do save visible objects only, and that's where you can turn items on or off in your show hide and select yes. You can add it to be encrypted. So if you want to add passwords to make it protected, but then from there, you will get a web view link popped up. So you would need to add in your dental share credentials, log in, and then the software is going to generate a web view link. Also with your PDF exports. So like I talked about with these PDF exports, software is going to do those automatic screenshots. And then I didn't do the screenshot and image management tool, but if you want to utilize that beforehand, you'll have in tool screenshot and image management, and you can capture by view or capture manually, and you would just need to tell it what reports you want it added to. If you hover over it, you can edit those. Like I was talking about, to where, for instance, you might want to point out something specific about a case. Like, do I want to close the diastema? As an example, or add in text to type something in. You save any edits you made, and then you'll see those edits within the image management tool. But just an example of the PDFs, you don't have to enable 3D preview on the PDFs, but it is available as well. So, and you'd need to use Adobe typically for that functionality. That's what we recommend. But kind of cool to where you get 3D preview and the 2D all in one document. So, and then if you added custom screenshots, it would be on at the bottom of the PDF. So pretty cool feature when it comes to being able to clearly communicate to your customers. And then Smile Creator, of course, but like I said, today we weren't really covering that. So, but yeah, that's the basics, and some advanced options with All on X. I think we're pretty much at time now. So unless we have any other questions.
Trying to get my cam to work. There we go. Here we
Oh,
go.
I
Very
see.
important.
I see. How do you
How do
scale
you
just a
scale?
portion of a crown? So if you're in tooth placement, you can either go to the Advanced tab and use that free access scaling as an option. Or you can hold Control and Shift while you're scaling something, or just Shift. So depending on what tool you have selected, kind of play holding Shift or Control and Shift. That's within your tooth placement. And then when you're in freeforming on the anatomic tab, when you're utilizing the presets, so those presets are just looking at specific areas of the library. So you can hold Shift while you're utilizing those presets and grabbing and pulling material. But if you hold Shift, it's going to scale that aspect that's highlighted in green. So
Awesome. So I'm just going to launch that first poll question that we have. I'm only going to keep it up for like 30 seconds. So Dan, thank you so much for this.
yeah,
What this poll is would you like to add exocad design software to your lab if you don't already have it? If you do have it, take a look at your license. Do you need to upgrade your license? Do you need to transfer your license? So that's also, you could also answer yes to that, and I will give you a call and just we can discuss it in the next day or so. So again, like I said, I'll just leave this up for just a couple minutes. All you have to do is answer this quickly. And the next one is about attending a hands-on course with us. This hands-on course is going to be in our Wakefield facility, which is about 20 minutes out of Boston. It is a 2-day course. We'd love to have you join us. We're only taking about 10 to 12 laboratories because we want it to be very hands-on and we want you to get a lot out of it. So the 2-day course will probably encompass something like mouth guards and surgical guides on the first day and all on X on day 2. We are located right across the pond from exocad, so we will have one of the exocad designers with us, along with one of our designers as well, so that we can give you, the best kind of hands-on instruction as we can. Also, there's a hotel, which is basically right across the parking lot. So we're trying to make it as easy and as affordable as possible. And like I said, in the next day or so, probably by tomorrow, I can give you a call and we can discuss it a little bit further and try to see what you'd like to get out of it as well. And I'll have some information absolutely like by the end of the week as far as how to get you signed up for it, because we really look forward to having you in our backyard as well, in exocad's backyard. So it seems like there's a lot of people who are interested from this one particular course, Dan. So thank you so much. And don't forget,
great.
we have everybody from the first course. So from the beginning of April, if we need to add a day, in an extra course, we absolutely will, to get everybody trained and feeling confident with their designs with exocad. So I want to thank everybody for joining us here and joining us this whole month. It's been fantastic. I want to thank our partners at exocad, Maria, Dan, and the whole crew for spending their Tuesdays with us here, and our attendees, of course, for just relying on us for your education. We really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. If you haven't registered, tomorrow, Wednesday, I believe it's what? April 29th?
Today is April 29th.
Oh my goodness, April 30th. See, I'm
Yeah.
pretty messed up on the dates. So tomorrow, Wednesday, April 30th, we have Paolo Lubrano, MDT, joining us, and he's going to be speaking to us about 3D printing lab safety. If you haven't signed up for it, I really highly suggest that you do. He gives a great presentation and it's so informative. You really, really want to keep yourself safe, your lab employees safe, your patients safe. So go on to Eventbrite and sign up. That's tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you. I hope everybody has a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks everyone. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.